Hi everybody, today we're going to take a look at a pretty cool car. This is a 1973 Mach 1 in pearl white with black stripes. It's listed as a vintage muscle car. It's a 1/64th scale, yeah I hate that scale, die-cast model car by Auto World. I picked it up on Amazon for a very reasonable price of $8.99, and really, for what it is, it has a lot of detail. And the hood opens. One of the funny things on Amazon, it does say by Auto World, but it also says under brand name generic, which is funny because it also says officially licensed product. Well, which is it? A generic car? Is it by Auto World? Is it officially licensed? I'm going to go with yes, it probably is. For a 1/64th scale, this has a lot of detail to it and looks pretty cool. And if you didn't know it was coming, here it is. I have a very quick Mustang Mach 1 story to tell you. This is not the story about the Mach 1 I owned. This is the story about the Mach 1 I almost owned. We needed a car. We went to Sarge's Used Cars, and they had this very cool Mach 1, but it was in the yellow and black paint job. And up to this point, I hadn't seen a Mach 1 with that paint style. But it had that yellow paint job with the black stripes and said Mach 1 on it. Wow! And really, I wasn't a Mustang guy, but the price was right. I could afford it. Sadly, my girlfriend at the time didn't want me getting a, finger quotes, muscle car. So while I was eyeballing the Mach 1, she was talking to the salesman in the office. I took the Mach 1 out for a test drive. I was very happy with it, purred like a kitten. I get back to the lot. My girlfriend says, look, we should get this Buick. And it was a brand new Buick. The paint was faded. It was faded gray, but it was only 2 years old. But it was well out of my price range. I mean, way out of my price range. But right next to it was this little 79 Datsun 210 four-door faded mint green car, which was still slightly out of my price range, but $2,000 cheaper than the Buick, though $1,000 more expensive than the Mach 1. And if you didn't see it coming, it was the classic bait and switch. She wanted that Datsun, so she had the salesperson park it right next to the Buick, showed me the Buick, which I definitely couldn't afford, and then said, hey, how about this car right here? Still way more than I could afford, but way, way cheaper than the Buick. So that's what we ended up getting, was that Datsun. And yes, I abused that car. We would take it, me and my buddies would take it off-roading through the desert and up off-road. It was a cool car. It was a four-door. It was an automatic. You could load it with people. When you get caught in the really deep, soft sand, everybody could jump out of the back and keep pushing. You just rev that engine. That 1400cc Datsun-powered motor would just scream. 1397cc Datsun-powered motor would scream, and then we'd get out of the soft sand, and everybody would jump back in, and we'd keep driving. So yeah, I didn't treat it with respect. As things usually turn out, I had the car for about a year longer than I had that girlfriend. And after a couple years of me not respecting that car and just tearing it up, it started having problems. The automatic choke wouldn't work. So on cold mornings, you popped the hood, you stuck a rag in the carburetor, and then you drove it until it warmed up, and then you jumped out really quick and pulled the rag out of the carburetor. Yes, I could have installed a manual choke, but, that worked. The rag method. That car would break down all the time. And the funny thing was, one of the times that it broke down, I was at a local park in town. I wasn't on base. And who should drive up to me but the dude who bought that Mustang Mach 1 that I originally wanted to buy? He pulls up, hey, you need any help? Can I help you? Nah, I got it, man. Just keep going. He was driving my car. And all the excuses my girlfriend had used, oh, it's just going to break down. You're always going to be working on it. Here the Datsun was broke down. And here it was a couple years later, that Mach 1 was still driving. Was the Datsun broke down because of how I treated it? Yeah, probably so. Would the Mustang Mach 1 still be running if I treated it the same way? Yeah, I think so. So yeah, that was adding insult to injury. My car was broke down, and the car I wanted to buy is the one that stopped to help me. Eventually, I got the car going again, half an hour later. Because if you own the kind of cars I used to own, you had to keep a toolbox in the trunk and you had to know what you were doing. And I have plenty more stories about that Datsun and the trouble it got me into and the things we did with it, but that's for a different day. So you know what the moral of this story is? I have no idea, but the moral is I should have bought that Mach 1 instead of that Datsun. That's the moral of my story. Alright, so what do you think? Today we looked at a 1973 Mach 1 pearl white with black stripes, vintage muscle car, 1/64th scale diecast model by Auto World. Officially licensed product. Okay, leave your comments in the comment section. As always, thanks for watching.
Beanmeister 22, the most dangerous man on YouTube.